Hi everyone. I am going to talk today on my podcast a little bit about some questions that are like fun, idea sparking questions about travel planning so that I can give you a little bit more of a conceptual idea of like some things that I think about when I'm travel planning. So, one of my questions is what's one moment from a trip that I took that changed how I see travel and myself? And I think the first thing that comes to mind with this is going to New Orleans. And the reason for that is that one of the biggest things in life for me is that I feel like it's entirely about perspective, like the amount of time that you afford yourself, the amount of money that you believe you have for the things that you want to do, and just your ability to create experiences is all formed by perspective. And one thing that I saw in New Orleans is that a lot of people there, instead of just like, if people are out in popular areas like asking for money, they're making music with their family or like selling creative things like little oyster shells with like paintings or something. And so I felt like that was a way for people to like create their own business and also be able to raise money for themselves. And so that changed my perspective on like myself and like how I view the value of life. Um, I would say if I could go back to the start of one of my trips, what would I do differently? And what would I definitely do again? And I want to go back to Toronto actually. So I did a red eye flight in Toronto and I was thinking like, okay, great. Red eye flight means that I can basically treat the plane like a hotel and then basically like I can just get there and go through my day and that way like I'll have an entire day to experience before I end up like getting tired and wanting to go back to my hotel and relaxing or when check-in time. And I landed in Toronto at like 6:30 in the morning, like super early. Most big cities don't open until like 10, 11, like for most of their experiences. And so I just took like that beginning time to like wander around, but I was so exhausted for like that entirety of the day that what ended up happening was like I stayed out all day to experience as much as I can, but I feel like I didn't get to enjoy it as much as I wanted to, or like, yeah, I wasn't really like present for a lot of experiences because of my exhaustion. That I kind of wish that, like, even if I had chosen to do the red eye flight, that I took some time to pause in between and take a break and rest. Because I think as much as maximizing your experiences, it's about maximizing your time. It's also about balancing time and energy. Um, One more question that I want to ask is to myself is like, how what's one trip that challenged me emotionally, mentally, or physically? And I want to go back to my Disney World trip. This trip is obviously like extremely physically intensive, and I was spending every day waking up at like 6 a.m. and then going to bed at like 11, and I can probably do that when I'm back at home, but when you're doing such physically intensive activities all day long and you have no time to rest and then you go back and you don't even get like a full 8 hours of sleep, it's really hard to like keep up physically with the rest of the trip when you're that exhausted. So yeah, just some fun bits of advice and pieces of things that I thought I could share. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy reading more about my travel.